So
Yeah.
so now we get into the meat and potatoes as far as your creative side. How did that all happen for you? The comedy, the music, the screenwriting. How did that all happen for you?
It's weird because I feel like I've always kind of done it all in some capacity, but everything connects to something else.
Yes.
Um, if I'm talking music, well, let me come back to music. Comedy I got into during that year when I was home, with nothing to do, trying to find a job. There was randomly a day I was watching somebody doing some comedy show, and I was like, I can do that. And so I just randomly went on Craigslist and it was like comedians, and I saw that there was an event from this agency called Live Shots, and they were doing open mic nights in downtown Tacoma, and they needed talent, and so I signed up. They didn't vet anything, and they just let me get some stage time, and so okay, I went,
Okay.
invited a few friends, and I said, hey, if I suck, y'all just start laughing, okay? And then nailed it, and then it went so well they invited me back for the next one, and then that next time they gave me 20 minutes of stage time. Normally when you first start
That's
getting
a lot. 20 minutes is a
you
lot.
get,
Yeah.
2 3 sometimes 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
They gave me that 20 minutes, and I'm already long-winded. This was perfect for me because a lot of my comedy was storytelling anyway.
Mhm.
That 20-minute set went so well that after that I was like, okay, I'm doing comedy, and then I just started doing all these shows. So that's how the comedy started. In addition to that, that ties to the YouTube channel. So I was already
Okay.
still I had been teaching dance for a few years at that point, and that came from in those years living in Italy. Like I said, we had no TV or anything to watch because there was only one channel. This lady that came from America had just recorded Janet's Velvet Rope tour and had it fresh on VHS. She had just moved to the United States. Me and my dad watched it. That was the first concert I ever remember watching on TV. Hooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Of
was
course.
watching that thing
It's
every day,
Janet.
and I was
Yeah.
copying, and so I
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
just emulate everything I saw. And then somebody else had Michael Jackson's History. Maybe it was Dangerous. One of Michael tours, and I used to just watch those two and copy and copy, and then before you know it, you're doing little talent shows here and there, and then those talent shows lead to now you're doing the assembly at the school, and then the lady that was in charge of the dance team in high school needed more boys because boys don't want to dance. Boys are too cool to dance, and so I wasn't too cool to dance, and so I joined the dance team. And by joining the dance
Okay.
team, we had a choreographer that screwed us over just as we were because in Washington State, dance is really big. It's just like you go to a state competition, just like the football team or like a cheerleading squad.
Mhm. Mhm.
We had our state routine. The choreographer we had kind of scammed us, and we had to join a big
Ah.
team.
Mm.
So me and a different friend ended up having to choreograph and fill in the gaps and add music and stuff. And so by doing that, and then us still getting in the state, the lady offered me a job as the choreographer for that team the next year, even though
Oh.
I was getting ready to go to Howard. And she was like, "How we can do it?"
Ah.
It's like,
Okay.
when you just come home on the summers and stuff, you can just teach all the routines, and we'll fly you in when we can. The district had
Okay.
a partnership with Alaska Airlines, and so my freshman year of college and my sophomore year of college, I was going back and forth between Seattle Metro and DC like once a month to teach the teams. And so I say all that to say that it got to a point where it got really hard to keep going back and forth because I'm still a
Mm.
student. I need to make sure my
Right.
grades are good.
Yes.
YouTube is out. All
Mm.
right. So now I can upload my lessons on YouTube as an unlisted link and send them to
There it is.
Seattle. And
There it
so
is.
that's how the YouTube channel
Mhm.
initially started. It had nothing to
Wow.
do with me cussing people out.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then at the
Okay.
same time, fast forwarding, when I started doing those comedy shows, I wanted to promote them and I wanted people to see them. So I started putting my comedy shows on the YouTube channel. So the
Right.
YouTube channel was initially promotion for my YouTube or for my comedy and a way for me to still teach my dance classes because I couldn't quit because I was in contracts with. Oh, because I'll say by then I was also teaching additional teams. So it was my old
Right.
high school team, but
Yes.
like 4 other schools, and I signed
Smart move.
contracts, and that's
Yes.
how I was getting my food and stuff for college and money for clothes and stuff. So I had to fulfill them. So that's how YouTube initially started.
Wow. Clever,
Um,
clever
and
move.
around that time, I started sharing my 2 cents and stuff, and the YouTube started growing a little bit because I started having opinion related videos. Then
Yes.
that led into I did a web series called Generation Black in 2013. That was the first time I had jumped into kind of like screenwriting and film. I had
Okay.
actually got rejected from NYU for music business because I was trying to get a master's, and my friend was like, "You should do a web series." Because at that point, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll just try that." Because I
Okay.
didn't think I was going to still be with the kids for so long. Because at that point, it had been about 2 years with the kids, and I was like, I've had a nice run. I'm ready to try something else. And so I thought I was going to go to music business school, get rejected from music business school. I start the web series. Um, it was a learning experience. Lots of things that I didn't know, but it was still a
Of
cool
course. Of
experience. So
course.
We do the web series, and by then the channel just keeps growing and growing and growing. And at this point, I'm also doing like reviews and critiques of films and stuff that come out. I critiqued a documentary entitled Light Girls. It was the response to the documentary Dark Girls. And at
Okay.
the time,
I
I was
remember that.
really trying to be open-minded because I was like, I understand the plight of why women that are darker skinned have the things that they deal with. And so I figured Light Girls would do that same thing, but I felt that it was more so a reaction to Dark Girls, and it was more so divisive than
it always is. It
critique.
always is.
So I remember I did a review on it, like I learned nothing. If anything, this enforced everything that was said in the other one. It confirmed it. And so there was a woman who had her own magazine. It was a film resource magazine for Black filmmakers, who saw that review and was like, oh my God, I want you. So then she pulled me in, and that's how I ended up working at the magazine for a few years, for about 4 years, covering all the film festivals, interviewing a bunch of folks in New York all the time, which was really cool. So it got me exposed into a lot of spaces and made me want to dive deeper.
You never know who's watching.
Right. And so I did that for some years. But then around 2016, 2017, I was wanting to jump into music too. Because like I said, I grew up in church. I was the choir director in that year that I was living at home with my parents after college. And so I've always had a love for music. I always used to, make beats with my friend that I grew up with as a kid. And by then they had their own recording studio when we were adults, and we'd go there and write demos. And we thought we were getting a production deal with A&M Records this one time. Because Mark Mazzetti was in contact with this guy that we knew. And we were told, okay, come up with 30 songs and we're going to present them to Mark Mazzetti. And if he likes them, you guys will have a production deal with A&M. Now that's 2010, 2011. Unfortunately, egos and stuff got in the way. Friend fell out, and the guy didn't have no connection with no Mark Mazzetti. He was just trying to use our beats because he didn't know how to do music. So I say
all that, yes.
Anyway, fast forward.
It was just a mess. It was a mess.
And so much going on. So fast forward, 2015 happens. Janet Jackson comes back out, and she's going on tour. My absolute fave. I ain't seen her in concert since 2008. I buy Unbreakable tour tickets, and then me and the magazine person that I work with got along so well. I bought us tickets for the New York show too. Like, we about to just be Janet Jackson'd out.
Yes.
She's not pregnant and cancel the tour.
Oh, wow.
So,
it doesn't end with you, huh, Calvin? It just doesn't.
No, so then the money that I got, because I got the refunds back, the money that I got back from those canceled shows, that was the seed money I used to start my recording studio.
Nice.
And by then I already had a new MacBook because my mom was nice and bought me a MacBook when I was doing Generation Black, the web series. So I built a recording studio, and by then I wanted to start doing music. So then that's when I started recording my first album around 2016. And that was Sonic Euphoria. That came out in 2017. The YouTube channel kept growing, and people kept saying, you need a podcast. Like, because remember, technology is a little bit different in 2016, 2017. Yes. People are like, we're driving, but we want to listen to you like on a podcast. We can't watch you while we drive. So then that's how the Comedically Hard-Headed podcast started. Because at this point now I have recording equipment. And so, I started filming the podcast. So then we do the podcast. I'm recording music at the same time. I dropped my second album, The Hardcover, which does a lot better than the first album. And the podcast is growing and growing and growing. We come into the pandemic. I get a message in 2021. And at this point, I've kind of slowed down the podcast a little bit because I was running out of stories to tell. And there's this lady who's like, hey, I just listened to your Pullover So I Can Hit You episode. That was the funniest thing I've ever heard. I want to work with you. I'm a film director. What if we
how you get these people to, these people are drawn to you, Calvin. How you get these people? They just be watching and they hear you. They're really they pay close attention.
Yeah, you just never know who's watching. This is 2021 at this point, and I think my YouTube channel was maybe at about 30,000 subscribers, maybe. So I'm starting to get a somewhat of a following.
Right? Right. That's a big deal.
But even when I had the magazine, I think the magazine at that point I had 4,000 or 5,000 at that time. So there's just you just never know who's watching.
You never know.
I start working with the film director. We come up with all these great ideas. We get to know each other. Her energy is great. She also went to Howard as well, and then she graduated from USC Film School, which I had been rejected from a few more times because I still was applying.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And then so we ended up creating the short film Pullover So I Can Hit You. We did some film festivals. She and I still work together to this day on a bunch of stuff. So it's just everything was interwebbed and connected, which is why I always say, like, you just never know where you're going to end up and how things work. And so I could say literally all of it started because, hey, I needed to teach some dance classes, but I couldn't get to Seattle anymore, and I put some unlisted links on YouTube. It
Yes.
just grew from there.
It just grew
So
from there, and it's
yeah.
just so amazing. I mean, just hearing you is just talking about this divine order. That is a real thing. I always talk about divine order,
Mhm.
and so just those blessings upon blessings that you have. But I just want to pull a little bit from the music aspect. I want to know what do you pull from? I know we always talk about experiences of our own or other people's experiences, but in your own personal journey in the music space, where do you pull from, and what color do you see when you create? What color do you see? I mean,
Okay.
I'm not talking about just color. What is there more of a deeper meaning when I say what color do you see?
Okay, yeah. So I feel like the experience has changed since the very first album. The very first album, I just built the recording studio. I was making beats and singing, and well, first at one point I couldn't afford the microphone. I could only make the music, couldn't put no vocals on, and I started driving Uber to pay for the microphone. And
Wow.
but
Okay.
that didn't
Okay.
last long. I didn't like people in my car, and I used to
Right.
have
Right.
one just in case somebody was ready. I was ready too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so the first album, I was just kind of playing with all these ideas that I had in my head for years that I could never put onto anything because I didn't have the equipment. So that's kind of like what the first album was. Um, and then, before you know it, I had enough songs for an album. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So there wasn't, I'm not going to say there wasn't heart or anything behind it. It just had a different purpose behind it. The purpose was getting my feet
Mm.
wet. Now
Yes.
that they had
Okay.
gotten wet, and I realized, okay, people actually kind of like this. I kind of want to be more intentional. Like I really want to do some things. So then the next album, the hardcover, I was like, I think people know me, but they don't know me. They know what I present on YouTube, but what if I put it in the music a bit more? And so that album was pretty much an autobiographical album from the age of 21 up until where I was at that
Got
point in
it.
life, which
Okay.
I think I
Okay.
was about 29, right? So that was depression, dealing with my father passing,
Mm.
not feeling good enough, the issues happening in the world, this, just all these different things. Infidelity, it wasn't me. I just saw somebody else that was tripping and I was calling them out on it. All of that, right? And that's kind of where it came from. And then we fast forward. I took a break for 5 years. Well, not really. We came into the pandemic. I needed some therapy, but all the therapists were booked because everybody started
Everybody.
booking
Yes.
during the pandemic.
Mm.
So
Yes.
as a way, because I was losing it for a quick minute, because DC really shut down. We were in the house, everything closed. And at that time, I've been having some health issues between like 2017 and 2021
Mm.
that made me nervous. I had I had walking pneumonia at one point in 2017,
Mm.
and I had a partially collapsed lung. And then
Oh.
I went in for like a follow-up every year. They kept finding polyps each year, and they'd find more and more and more. So I remember the day before I had shot my music video, I had a single called It Played Us off the hardcover album. The day before, they had given me my results, and it said that all these things had metastasized. And I know metastasized is a cancer word, so I was freaking
Yeah.
out. And by then,
Yeah.
this is the end of January of 2020, and now
Right.
COVID is becoming a thing. And I was
Right.
paranoid. I'm like, oh my God, I can't catch. Like, there was just a lot going on.
Yeah.
I
Right.
didn't need
Right.
therapy because nothing was making sense for me. And then around that time is when it finally hit me that my father was no longer living. He had passed in 2015, but it didn't hit me until about 5 or 6 years
Mm.
later. So it was like, I need some therapy.
Yeah. Because you didn't get a chance to process it.
I didn't. I put all of my focus in making sure my mom was good
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
my mother, that. You don't expect to bury your spouse in your. My
Of
mom was
course.
51. You don't expect to bury your
Yeah.
spouse that young. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, all my focus was on her, and I didn't take enough time to make sure I was good. And so I started making music as a way to kind of escape. And for me, it was just a peaceful thing where, with everything happening in the world, and mind you, Crazy Man was still in office the first time, it was a way to
Yeah.
escape and just
Mhm.
lock in. Just because I love music, and it took me into different spaces because my musical ear comes from my dad. We would just sit and listen to so many records. That's why I love the road trips, because he would play
Yes.
all the
Yes.
stuff he had and everything like that. And so sometimes just working on those songs, sometimes I'll have a day where I'm not even doing my music. I'm just listening to everything from the 70s, from the 60s, 80s and stuff, and remembering the feeling of being in the car and hearing this song while you're driving over a bridge or that kind of stuff. And then that served as like the inspiration as I started making the music. And for this current set of albums, because I dropped 2 albums on the same day,
the same day?
Yeah, so it was technically called the Today Project, and it had 2 albums. One is called Before Tomorrow, and the
Oh,
other is
okay,
called
okay.
After Yesterday.
After
And both
yesterday,
were
right.
together.
Okay.
So how that happened, I have a godmom that lives out here, and I love her because she's very direct. She's my real life Medea without the gun.
Mhm.
And so I love to dance. I love high energy music. I'll say my musical influences for a lot of my sound are usually Prince, Michael, and Janet. That's normally my home base. She ain't into that. She wants some nice, smooth OJs type of thing. And so I remember I was
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
just like, listen, I like what you do. You be doing all that wild stuff, and I try to put on your stuff, and it's lasers and drums, all this. Why you just can't make something smooth? Why you can't make something nice? Like, can I get one song that I can play
Look at the groove too.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I was like, actually, yeah, let's do that. So I started making some songs that were a bit more adult contemporary. And as I
Okay.
was making the songs, I realized they didn't fit together on the same album. Those adult contemporary songs with these dance heavy tracks. And
Right.
so
You
then
gotta
I was
right,
like,
separate
these are
them.
two different
Yeah, you
albums.
gotta separate them. Mhm.
And that's how I ended up making. And so the After Yesterday album is the adult contemporary one. To me, I don't have favorites, but that's the one I'm the most proud of because it took me out of my
Yes.
element, and I tried
Yes.
something that I don't normally do. But what I feel with it, there's a euphoria of making the music. I can't explain it, but it's something about because I self-produce everything. Um, there's something about when you first start with your song starts with one track. It might just be a drum. It might just be that. But by the time you finish and you get to that polished mastered version and the vocals have been added
Yes. So many layers.
sometimes you'll listen and you're like, how did I come up with that? Because
Yes.
you're even lost, like I did that.
Yes. So many
Um,
layers to it. You don't realize
man,
it's the
yeah.
buildup. It's the buildup.
That
Yeah.
buildup, you don't realize until you
Yeah.
look back on it.
Absolutely.
And so I can't explain it. I tell people I just make music because I enjoy it. I've never wanted to be like an artist and go on tour, and I'll do it. I do some shows and stuff here and there, but I make music because I enjoy it. And that's it. I'm not trying to get a record deal as a singer, but I would like to make music for other people. I'd love to work with some like phenomenal vocalists and singers and do stuff for them. But for me, I'm content just making people laugh.
Got it.
So music to me has always been a great escapism.
So who do you want? I mean, since we went there, who do you want to work with? Who do you
Okay,
think
so can I tell you my little vision here?
Yes,
I
yes.
think the music industry forgets that people over the age of 40 still listen to music and still want good
Oh,
music. And
yeah.
they don't want to always just only listen to what was. So I would love to work with a lot of the seasoned entertainers that are still out here touring right now. The people who are probably in their 50s, 60s, even late 40s, the En Vogues and the Joes
Stephanie
and
Mills,
Stephanie,
Patti LaBelle,
all of those people.
Ozzy Brothers. Yeah.
Yes, what happens is these people are still hungry for it, but they do need an ear that's still to the streets where they can
Yes.
have a
Oh,
modern
yeah.
sound that fits what they normally
Yes.
do. And the
Mhm.
problem is, most producers don't want to work with them because they're trying to get on. If you're an up and coming producer and you're trying to be that person, you're probably not going to give your best track to Mickey Howard because you'd rather give that to Rihanna if you get that chance, or to Coco Jones, the people who are currently on the radio.
True.
I
True.
would love to be that person to say, Mickey, I got a song for you, right?
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
happy
Love it. Love
building
it.
all of the adult contemporary artists, and because listen,
I love it.
they
Love
still
it.
sing songs, but yeah,
Because you still got to bridge the gap,
yeah,
and I
and
think that's why a lot of people question where the stat a lot of people tend to question the state of R&B.
mhm,
You got to bridge the
yeah,
gap because again, R&B is still, to me, I still think R&B is still alive. R&B is
it's
still
here,
within us.
it's
We just have to really dig a little deeper into it. And there's a lot of underground artists still out there that we still don't know anything about or we're not privy to because,
mhm.
and especially in this country, overseas, I mean,
They're
overseas is
doing
like,
fine
oh
overseas.
yeah,
Tour, sell
they're
out, yeah,
I mean, R&B is alive overseas, but here they think it's dead, but it's not.
yeah.
It's not. So I'm glad that you said that. Like, you need to bridge the gap between the contemporary artists and the
And
OGs.
I'd still
Thank
happily
you for
work
that.
with new faces too, but
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me, all the people I grew up on are the people I want to work with,
yeah,
right?
yes,
Because a
yes,
lot of them they have it. Sometimes I think sometimes their music doesn't quite connect, and it's just because the production or the producer sometimes their ear is not calibrated to what's now. And I want to bridge the what's now with what was and
yes,
present it in a way where there's quality, where it can sound fresh and new, but be familiar. Uh,
yes.
yeah, because then sometimes you look at some folks that are a bit more seasoned and they're trying to do what 20-year-olds do, and they look crazy. So
Yeah, I know, right? Because I know, but like I said, do what Charlie will say. Something like do like
Charlie is a great example.
Yes, but you do something like that. Maintain that formula. That's good.
He's current and fresh,
Yes.
but it's Charlie.
Yes.
There's meaning behind it. It's soulful. Yeah, love his stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you okay. So yeah, I get exactly where you're coming from. Yeah. So so let me ask you, Calvin. Now because we covered so much, and I just appreciate so much of what you shared. I mean, it's been great for me. It's been great for me.
Yeah, this has been fun.
So so what I want to know is where you are right now. Are you let me ask you honestly, how happy are you right now?
I love that you asked that because that's a real question.
Yes, it was.
Right now, I'm at like a 7.
Mhm.
And it's because there's just some things I really would like to make happen, but the way that the world is going right now, I'm like, I don't know how this is going. And the 7 is it's rooted in there's some things I'd like to at some point get done. Like the bug that I'm getting now is like fatherhood. Like, oh my God, I want kids. I want kids. I want kids. Because it's like I'm trying to do this before I get too old and like I ain't trying to be 56 stepping on labor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one big thing. So I'm trying to make that happen, but this is not the time because career-wise, I want to do another pivot, and the kind of stuff that I do is not conducive to an environment with having a family.
For family.
And so I'm trying to like really put in a lot of work for the next 2 or 3 years to make
Right. So you can be
where I can create an environment for it. So I'm technically exhausted right now. I'm
Got
ready
you.
to go all the time. My only free day where I can like breathe are normally Sundays. Every day I have something going. There's some kind of I'm a person who finishes their 9 to 5 and goes into some more work, or I go in the office 2 days a week, but I'm not that person who comes home from work to do more work. And then I still have to also upkeep all of these platforms. That's the other thing. As great as they are, you got to maintain them. So you're trying to constantly at least come up with at least one video or a live at least once every week and a half for the YouTube channel. The podcast, you got to keep that going. I've dropped 2 albums. I will say I'm terrible at promoting and marketing. So I've been trying to do a better job.
You got to fix that. Yes.
Yeah. And then you still try to have a social life and everything like that. And then now I will say, like, tangibly, I'm doing really well. Like, I have no complaints on that. Like, financially, I'm great. Everything's good in that. I'm not hurting, but I'd say about a 7, just because I know what could be. And then some of it is also you just get older. You start to see people get sickly or transition out, and you miss some people and stuff like that. So that's what it is. But that's a very, I don't think people get asked that question. So I love that. But yeah.
And I'm glad that you was honest about it, and thank you for that. And I really want to kind of point you a little bit, Calvin, because you're still very young, very impressionable, and I do understand the goals that you have set and the plan that God has for you, and you're executing them very well. So I could tell that you're in spiritual alignment there because your divine order, the way it's going. Sometimes it's a little bit of pivots, but I just want to encourage you to even if you're hard at work, and I get it, and I really, really impressed by your work ethic just based on, what you have mentioned. But just find the time to find the you within you. Find the time to do a little bit more fun. Create more memories that you like you did on those road trips with your parents.
Yeah.
I want you to understand that. I encourage you to value the life that you have left. Because honestly, we don't know. I mean, it's like the way the climate is right now. We don't know how much we have left, and I don't want you to be so consumed by certain things to the point where you're not getting to experience the life that you have within yourself. So I just want to encourage you to remain on your platform, still continue to be on that plateau where you are right now, because where you are right now is great. But I just want you to always maintain that balance within you, because you need to give yourself the space to breathe. Give yourself the space to get engaged with different things that are fun for you, not just work, but just engage in more things that's fun for you. Whether it's doing going to a retreat by yourself, or just find something interesting to do, even if it's crocheting. I don't know, but just but just find the life within you, Calvin, because I'm so proud of where you are right now. I'm proud of what you've done. I'm so impressed with the knowledge that you have right now. I'm so impressed with the body of work that you have accomplished at such a young age, because because that's what inspires me, because so far I've interviewed with so many people, so many personal people that are much younger than I, but I aspire to be where you are,
Oh,
you know.
you're
Yeah,
here. You're
yeah.
doing it right now. So yeah.
Mhm.
I appreciate that. And honestly, that was kind of one of the goals of this year. This was
Mhm.
one of the years I started just saying yes to everything outside of like work related. So this was the most I've ever traveled, just like with friends and
Yes.
vacations and stuff. And I love to go to a concert and everything. But yeah, like you said, I've been trying to get that balance where I'm not just exhausted. Because the worst thing that can happen is when the things that you love turn into a chore. And I don't want it to turn into that.
Yes. Oh, yes. 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 So, and I'm so glad you said that because I also wanted to say, do not be afraid of boundaries. Don't be afraid
Mhm.
of creating those boundaries either.
Yeah.
Because saying no is so refreshing sometimes. You know,
Yes.
even if I mean, just having that boundary say, let's just pivot a little bit. They might be shocked. I mean, this would be some hard for people to adjust to it, but they'll live with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
They have no choice. Because what
Yeah.
they gonna what they gonna do to you? you know, and you just feel so much better, you know.
Yeah.
So you said, so I want to know. So I know you said that you was focusing on your music, you're focusing on your creativity.